Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive discovery that completely shifted the foundations of human history. We are talking about a mysterious, extinct human species that didn't just vanish into the dust. They actually fundamentally shaped modern human survival. We're talking about the Denisovans. 5%. Just think about that tiny number for a second. What could that possibly mean for your own body, your own blood? Because for millions of people alive right now, this isn't just a fun statistic. It's a vital, living piece of their biological makeup. It really forces us to ask a wild question. Are you walking around right now carrying the DNA of an extinct, highly advanced human species? There are literal secret genetics hiding inside modern human populations, and discovering exactly how they got there is just an absolutely incredible journey. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the mystery pinky bone, look at how it rewrote human evolution, then dive deep into the EPAS1 genetic gift and superimmunity. Finally, we'll check out their advanced ancient engineering and the Denisovan legacy today. Section 1. The mystery pinky bone. You know, the biggest discoveries in science usually start with the absolute smallest clues. Picture this. It's 2008. Deep in the freezing, remote regions of Siberia, archaeologists are digging in the Denisova cave when they spot a tiny fragment of bone in the dirt. It's from the smallest finger of a human hand. Now, initially, they just figured it belonged to a Neanderthal from maybe 40,000 years ago, but in 2010, they ran the DNA tests, and the results completely upended our entire understanding of the human family tree. The DNA didn't match a Neanderthal, and it definitely didn't match us, Homo sapiens. It belonged to a young girl who lived around 50,000 years ago, representing a completely new, unseen species of human. They named them the Denisovans. Section 2. Rewriting human evolution. We kind of have to throw out the old history books here, because these weren't just some small, weak cavemen. When you map out the genetic data, a really wild story unfolds. Despite having almost no physical fossils to study, their DNA speaks volumes. Scientists matched the DNA from that tiny cave bone with modern populations and found that people in Tibet, Mongolia, Papua New Guinea, and Australia carry up to 5% Denisovan DNA. This is huge. It proves that our Homo sapien ancestors actively met and interbred with this vanished species across Asia and Oceania. But here's the profound mystery. If they were so influential, where are all their bones? We have tons of Neanderthal skeletons, right? But for Denisovans, we have almost nothing. A pinky, some huge teeth, a massive jawbone found in the mountains of Tibet that is literally twice as thick as ours, and this massive skull from China dubbed Dragon Man. But the clues these few fossils hold are breathtaking. The Dragon Man skull reveals a brain cavity that was nearly 20% larger than ours. And when scientists look at their genetic pathways, they see genes controlling brain development in incredibly advanced ways. We're talking complex neural pathways for memory, spatial awareness, and pattern recognition. They were essentially a remarkably upgraded form of human. Section 3. The EPS1 genetic gift. This is where we get into the really specific, incredible genetics they handed down to us. Just imagine the physical contrast here. If an average human climbs up to 10,000 feet, they start struggling. The oxygen gets thin, the body panics, and altitude sickness sets in. But native Tibetan populations, they thrive effortlessly at 14,000 feet. How is that possible? Well, ancient mountain-dwelling Denisovans had already adapted to these extreme freezing altitudes thousands of years before our ancestors ever even left the flatlands, and they essentially handed modern humans the high-altitude superpower needed to survive it. Enter the EPAS1 gene. It's a very specific genetic mutation that prevents the blood from thickening dangerously at high altitudes, allowing it to absorb oxygen with incredible efficiency. See, when regular humans go really high up, our bodies freak out and produce way too many red blood cells to compensate for the thin air. That thickens the blood and can lead to dangerous cardiac events. But this Denisovan mutation, it regulates hemoglobin production perfectly, keeping the blood thin while maximizing oxygen absorption. And here's the kicker. The exact same EPAS1 gene found in the Tibetan people today was found in the DNA of those ancient bones pulled from that freezing Siberian cave. It is the literal biological secret allowing modern Tibetans to survive extreme conditions. We didn't invent this gene, we inherited it. Section 4. Superimmunity and longevity. It wasn't just altitude survival, they also gave us an incredible shield against ancient diseases. Their DNA reveals a staggering biological blueprint. First up, an immensely strong immune system. They possessed specific immune alleles that gave them a natural immunity to Eurasian pathogens that would absolutely decimate other migrating hominids. Second, evidence of slow cellular degradation. Third, a delayed aging process. And finally, sustained brain agility right to the end of their lives. They passed these robust immune alleles onto modern populations in Asia and Oceania, literally acting as a long-lasting biological shield that still works today. If you combine immense strength, a massive brain, high-altitude survival, and this super immunity, you are looking at the blueprint of a ridiculously resilient civilization.
Section 5. Advanced Ancient Engineering. So physically they were superior, but it turns out their brains absolutely matched their brawn.
Experts studying their artifacts have made some staggering comparisons. One said it was like finding an iPhone in an ancient Egyptian pyramid. Seriously. They are referring to a green chloride bracelet found in the Denisova cave dating back 50,000 to 70,000 years. It wasn't just a pretty rock. It had a perfectly straight circular hole drilled right through it.
These artifacts reveal a crazy progression of capabilities. Step 1. High-speed rotary drilling, seen in that bracelet. That is a technology we thought modern humans invented thousands of years later. Step 2. Precision planning. They found a 50,000-year-old 7-centimeter needle carved from bone, complete with a perfectly drilled eye hole for thread. While our ancestors were wrapping themselves in raw animal skins, the Denisovans were precision measuring and sewing clothes. Step 3. Higher-order communication through symbolic art, like beautifully crafted beads made from ostrich eggs. Utilizing symbols directly points to a complex language. These artifacts completely shatter the idea that they were just uneducated cave dwellers. They had sophisticated planning, an eye for symmetry, and incredible technical skill. And then you have the massive anomalies sitting right in the heart of their ancient territory. Deep in the Siberian forests is Mount Shoria, featuring gigantic stone blocks, some weighing over 3,000 tons. They are cut with absolute precision, straight edges, perfect right angles, and they are perfectly aligned with astronomical solstices, just like megaliths found across Mongolia and Central Asia. Now, mainstream geology often calls these natural formations, but they sit right in the Denisovans' backyard. Some theories actually suggest they may have laid the architectural blueprints for later megalithic cultures, though, to be fair, this remains one of the most hotly debated mysteries in modern archaeology. Section 6. The Denisovan Legacy Today. We are left with the ultimate nagging mystery. If they were so physically powerful, genetically superior, and technologically advanced, how did they completely vanish roughly 40,000 years ago? Let's look at the two leading theories. Theory 1 points the finger squarely at us. Around 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens migrated into Eurasia. We were aggressive, we were numerous, and history shows that when we share territory, usually only one species survives. We interbred with them, but maybe we also wiped them out through prehistoric genocide. But Theory 2? That one is even more fascinating. It suggests the Denisovans, seeing the violence, retreated to the high mountains and deep caves that they loved. And then, around 12,800 years ago, the Younger Dryas cataclysm hit. This was a massive global event: fire from the sky, melting ice sheets, sudden temperature spikes, and catastrophic floods that reshapes the globe. It's the event echoed in ancient stories of a great flood. The sheer scale of this cataclysm may have literally buried their advanced civilization under mud and ice forever.
Bringing our narrative full circle, they were buried, but they weren't entirely erased. They left behind a single pinky bone in a cave in Siberia, and their living DNA inside of us. That is the absolutely crucial takeaway here. The Denisovans never truly died. Their biological legacy, the EPAS1 gene letting us breathe at the tops of the world, and those robust immune systems that shield us from ancient diseases, that legacy continues to protect millions of human beings today.
Think about it. If a civilization this advanced, a species this uniquely powerful, could be almost entirely wiped from the historical record, leaving behind just a few teeth and a fragment of a finger, what other advanced civilizations and ancient secrets are buried just beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered? Keep that in mind next time you look at the ground you walk on. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your curiosity alive, and I will see you next time.